Colossians chapter 3, verses 18 to chapter 4, verse 1. And before I begin, one of these verses, folks had me write it more than once on a piece of paper.
Really?
Yes, sir.
If I can, you got to eat that mic, you know.
I do.
Yeah. Sit down, please.
It's a snake. It's going to bite me.
Well, some people.
Wives, submit to your husbands as it is fitting in the Lord. Husbands, love your wives and do not be harsh with them. Children, obey your parents in everything, for this pleases the Lord. Fathers, do not provoke your children, lest they become discouraged. Bondservants, obey in everything those who are your earthly masters, not by way of eye service, as people pleasers, but with sincerity of heart, fearing the Lord. Whatever you do, work heartily, as for the Lord and not for men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive inheritance as your reward. You are serving the Lord Christ. For the wrongdoer will be paid back for the wrong he has done, and there is no partiality. Masters, treat your bondservants justly and fairly, knowing that you also have a master in heaven.
Thank you, Will. This morning we opened the book again to the wonderful letter to the church at Colossae. This morning we take an opportunity to hear some rules, very simple rules, that Paul is telling that church and you and me this morning. You know, the funny thing about rules is a lot of times people say, especially us Americans, just tell me the rules. Tell me the borders and I'll do it. It's so much easier. I don't want to think about it. Just tell me the do's and the don'ts. Well, this morning, Paul gets real specific and in a simple way tells us the do's and the don'ts. Don'ts. As being husbands, as being wives, as being, it talks about bondservants, slaves, and servants, but it's actually, in today's world, bosses, employers, and employees. Telling us how to deal with all these things. That's where we're going this morning. And in this wonderful end of chapter 3, we get to see things, to me, on a pretty level playing field. Because when we start off here, the first one are wives and then husbands. And what we don't want to do is for, when the wives come up, for Frank to point at Susie and go, aha! And then in the next verse, Susie point to Frank and go, I told you so. No. And I'm just using them as an example. Good morning, Aaron. But look into your own heart. Okay? Look at no one else this morning. It's a wonderful way for us to advance. Because when we think of Christianity, we think of our relationship with God, don't we? But as today shows, it's also a relationship with others. And that's what we're dealing with about this morning. In Sunday school, we said, well, if you don't have love, no matter what else you do, it falls through the cracks. So this morning, I challenge you to hear something. There's a secret message, if you will. How do I want to say it in a different way? There's a way to understand this that almost every verse refers to, and I want to see if you can find it before we get to the end, okay? Of a way for you to relate better to everyone around you. Let us begin. We start off with verse 18, and what I've done with these first few verses is I'm going to give you many different translations so that we can take a full look at these verses. Now, in Ephesians, we hear very much so. Ephesians 5 tells us at great length about wives and husbands and how they relate to each other. This one here, Paul is short and to the point. Wives, verse 18, submit to your husbands as is fitting in the Lord. Submit. Okay, the definition to the word submit in the English language is, from the Greek, says this. To be submissive, submit oneself, to be the subject of, to be obedient to. And don't for 1 minute, ladies, think, well, I'm not his servant, because that's not what it's saying. Let me share with you some other verses I think you might find that other translations that might make it. I want us to take a full gamut, look at the full globe. Here we go. Don't be bored, Mike. It's getting to me and you here very shortly. Okay? Here it is, verse 18, out of the Amplified. Wives, be subject to your husbands out of respect for their position as protector and their accountability to God, as is proper and fitting to the Lord. Okay? Wives, submit as is proper to the Lord. Next one. Wives, be subject to your husbands. Subordinate and adapt yourselves to them as is right and fitting and your proper duty in the Lord. Okay? Some of you wives, for many, 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 many years are trying to change husbands. How's that working out? Okay? We need to adapt to them, and husbands is coming very shortly. Okay? Women, adapt to your husbands. That's the word of God, okay? That's what it's about. Another version, this is a paraphrase. Wives must put their husbands first. This is her duty as a follower of the Lord. Okay? We need to understand this. Another paraphrase. Wives, understand and support your husbands by submitting to them in ways that honor the master. Okay? It is not direct, submissive obedience in a bad way. Let's use Jesus for an example. Okay? When we heard the word submit, there's always two connotations that are wrong. The first one is submit means 100% whatever he says I have to do. Is that right? Absolutely not. You're right, Mike. Why? Because Jesus submitted unto the Father's will, correct? We see this over and over again. Did this make Jesus inferior to the Father? No, he was bringing glory to the Father. That's the first misrepresentation of the word submit. The second one is that 100% whatever the husband says goes. Well, us husbands know already that one doesn't sail. Okay, why? Because if it in any way, shape, or form is contradiction to the word of God, do the women have to submit? Absolutely, positively not. This is where sometimes it gets a little bit funny, shall we say. Submission means to honor them, to encourage them, to support them, not to argue and try to tell them and all this. And let's go right to the husbands already, okay? Because it's a willing submission for the wives, and husbands, love your wives the same way. It's a willing choice, husband, for us to love them. It is a willing choice. It's not a passionate love. It's not an emotional love. It is a agape love that covers everything. Willing to forgive. Willing to treat her like a lady. Willing to accept things that you may not like, but that are her. It's a give and take, people. For both of us. Let me read you a couple verses from verse 19. Now, remember, we're looking for that. What's this? Simple rules. It's the name of it. How can this make it easy for Jack and Shay? It's coming, guys. It is. Where's the secret ingredient? Listen to verse 19 again. Husbands, love your wives and be not harsh with them. Another version, a husband must love his wife and not abuse her. Verbally abusive is like the new catchphrase for any bad husband or any angry husband. Oh, you're being verbally abusive. That's like the card, the number one card to wave right now. Let's look at two more verses. Translations of this verse. Husbands, be sure to give your wives much love and sympathy. Don't let bitterness and resentment spoil your marriage. Don't let bitterness and resentment. Every time I look at that garage where you hit it with the car, I think of your driving abilities. Okay? That's resentment. Okay? The wife, well, if you would have put a yard light in like I wanted, I wouldn't have crashed into it. People, we have to willingly put up with each other and love on each other. Husbands, we are in charge of not being bitter, of not being resentful, of not overusing the word submit. You must submit unto me. Show me that verse. Willingly. Okay? There's one other verse here, translation, that really lays it out for us, and I think I put it, yes, here it is. This is the Amplified. Listen to all the things that Bob Hanger and Clark and all the rest of us need to do. Here we go. Husbands, love your wives with affection, with sympathy, with selfless love that always seeks the best for them, and do not be embittered or resentful toward them because of the responsibilities of marriage. That says a lot. That's our responsibility. We cannot be resentful. We cannot be bitter. We need to love them, yes, as Christ loved the church. They're not perfect. Neither are we. But we have a responsibility to them. Like Jesus, to do the will of his Father. Men, that's your responsibility to do unto your wives. Yes, they are the weaker vessel. They are not the lesser vessel. And we need to see that, and we need to do that. Where's that secret ingredient for all of us here? If you notice in 18, wives submit. Do this, as is fitting, because it's fitting to the Lord. Verse 19, husbands, love your wives, do this, and do not be harsh with them. Husbands, easiest way for verse 19, treat your wives with gentleness. She backed the car into the garage with gentleness. I told her 3 times to shut that off with gentleness. With gentleness. That's our job. You're not supposed to be some big, tough monster. You're supposed to be some big, loving man. And I'm as guilty as all the rest of you. Why? What's the secret ingredient here? Have you got it yet? Let's go on. Verse 20, children, obey your parents in everything, for this pleases the Lord. There's your secret ingredient again. Why are we to do all these things? I want to share one verse with you to start with. 1 Peter 2:12 says this. Keep your conduct among the Gentiles honorable. They need to see us doing the right things, so that when they speak out against you as evildoers, they may see your good deeds and glorify the Lord. You're being watched. You're being watched. Kyler, you're being watched. Gina, you're being watched. We're all being watched by Gentiles, by unbelievers, to see how we're doing, Guadalupe. We are examples. Do this, this results. Do this because of, verse 20, children, obey your parents in everything, for this pleases the Lord. And if you're saying, oh, well, I got this one. Okay, we have Victoria and Kyler here today. They say, well, I'm the perfect daughter. I'm the perfect son. Okay, I want to share something with you that really came with me. I was a child once, long time ago. There were Indians and stagecoaches and all that stuff here. Okay? But boy, give me anything to do but obey my parents. That's the hard part. Okay? Till we come to 2 Timothy 3:12. 2 Timothy 3:12. Let me read it. Children, I want you, Victoria and Kyler, I want you to listen to this very carefully. Okay? 2 Timothy 2, not 12. Now this is talking about bad people. For people will be lovers of self. They'll be selfish. Lovers of money. They'll be greedy. They will be proud. They will be arrogant. They will be abusive. All those things are very bad things, Victoria and Kyler. And listen to what's next. Disobedient of their parents. That's how important it is. Ungrateful. And the last one is the worst. Unholy. There's a verse I want us all to hear on this particular subject. This is a paraphrase, but now listen to this. As for you children, do your duty, and that is to obey your parents. For at this age, this is one of the best things, Victoria, that you can show. To obey your parents for the love of God. Children, that is your biggest thing to do, to obey your parents. And there's a lot of 40 and 50 and 60 and 70-year-old children that still have parents alive, and we must still honor them. Honor your father and mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Not a lot of wiggle room there. What is the secret ingredient? We've come through 3 verses. What are these simple rules? How does it all line up? We're talking about relationships here. Wives to husbands, husbands to wives, children to parents, and what's next? Fathers. Okay? 21. Fathers, do not provoke your children, lest they become discouraged. Okay? Lest they become discouraged. All right, you 3 sitting there. Now it starts talking to us. Yes, you, Jack, and me. Someday you guys will be fathers, okay? Listen to what this says. Verse 20, verse 21. Fathers, do not provoke or irritate or exasperate your children with demands that are trivial or unreasonable or are humiliating or are abusive. Don't show favoritism or indifference. Treat them tenderly with loving kindness. For what reason? So they will not lose heart and become discouraged or unmotivated, with their spirits broken. One more. Fathers, do not provoke or irritate or fret your children. Don't be hard on them. Don't harass them, lest they become discouraged and sullen and morose and feel inferior and frustrated. Do not break their spirit. Okay, fathers? Now, those of us that have harsh treatment, or what we might think is harsh treatment, Jack, this is not an excuse saying, you're irritating me, you're in the wrong here. No, we have to honor them. Okay? Above all else, we must honor those, and we're going to get to teachers and students, employers and employees in just a moment. But parents, don't frustrate your children. I see it in situations where we have an adult over children and they play with their minds, and I remember a boy once, him and his mom always fought, just fighting constantly. And he goes outside, his dad was a farmer, and he jumps in the pickup, and his father had quit smoking for 2 days. This is an abusive parent. And the father's smoking. The little boy gets in the pickup. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't realize it's a big thing of smoking between his wife and him. And the father looks at him with a cigarette in his hand, and he said, you're the reason. You're the reason I'm smoking right now. Okay? That's abusive. You all have heard the story of the pastor in Omaha, the bug. Some of you haven't. So here, for the three that haven't heard the story, here's the story. The man is a very wonderful pastor in Omaha. He's a Baptist pastor. His parents were about to get a divorce. He was an 11-year-old boy driving down the highways of Texas at night, hit a firefly. Firefly stuck on the windshield. You know how they'll glow for a while. And the father says, that bug is just like you. And the little boy says, really, Daddy? How? Well, how am I like that little bug? And he says, because you don't have any guts, and neither does the bug anymore. And that pastor sat there in a sermon and told us that, and he said it took till he was 21 years old to get over that. Parents, be careful. You have been given a gift. You have been given a prize. And I don't care if your kid is 45 years old or 10 or 50 or whatever. They are a gift from God. They are a quiver, an arrow, a quiver for you. Treat them right. They're gone so fast. For these simple lessons, what's the ingredient? What's the point here? Have you got it? Have you figured it out yet? Let me read 21 to you one more time. Fathers, do not provoke your children lest they become discouraged. Now we get to employers and employees. It's bondservants, it's slaves and masters, but let's just switch it over. We're not going against the Bible here. Let's make it bosses and those who work for bosses, okay? Listen to this, verse 22. Bondservants, obey, do this, in everything those who are your earthly masters. Whoever is the boss, obey them. Not by way of eye service as people pleasers, but with sincerity of heart, fearing the Lord. With sincerity of heart, fearing the Lord, obey them. I had a reunion of my classmates last weekend, and somebody that worked, Marie's brother used to work for my dad, and I was there, of course, and he brought up something to my attention. When we were doing something wrong, and Ralph said to me, usually it was me, not you, Bill, but Dale would come up and go, Bill, I told you to stack that pipe here. And Ralph would say, this didn't happen with you, Al. And Ralph would say, Dale, it was me. Bill, I told you. Okay? Sometimes that happens, okay? Because there's situations, okay? It's okay. It's all right. I'd forgotten all about that kind of stuff. But for you, especially when you're young or when you're new to a job, Mitch, or whenever it is, give grace, give mercy. We need to be, Mike, I know you've got a new job. We need to give grace. Verse 22 in another translation, slaves, obey your earthly masters in everything you do. Try to please them all the time, at least most of the time. Not just when they are watching you. Serve them sincerely because of your reverent fear for the Lord. Where's the secret ingredient this morning, people? 23, whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men. It ought to be shining to you really strong right now. What are we to do? Work heartily. The result, it is for the Lord. Whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord. Amplified, whatever you do, whatever your task may be, work from the soul. That is, put in your very best effort as something done for the Lord and not for men. Okay? We were in Cuba. I'm sorry, people, but I don't have any other stories but Bill's stories. I don't. There's a man named Filiberto. Bonnie and Norris have met him. We never leave Havana without Filiberto. Why? He can fix anything. Whatever it is. He will be up, when we go to leave, we usually pack out and we're on 4 o'clock in the morning, he'll be loading the van. 11 o'clock at night when we get done preaching, when we're sitting there, he's still working. One time I was preaching a sermon and I brought him forward. I was preaching the sermon about serving in the kingdom of God. And I said, Filiberto, why do you do what you do? You know what he said? I do what I do because I'm serving my Lord. He's a preacher. He's a pastor. But his main gift is he's really good at doing everything else also. And I said, Filiberto, you're always going the extra mile. You're always going the extra inch. You're always, if I say to you, is it done? It's done. Okay? And he says, Bill, it's very simple. God is watching me. He's a wonderful person. I want to tell you one other story. I always carry instant coffee with me. I got to have my coffee fixed in the morning, 1 cup. One time, I think I sold a cup to Norris while he was there. Okay? It's instant coffee because they don't drink, they drink espresso. So this one time, you know me, at the grocery store, it was 70 cents less if I bought a glass one instead of a plastic one. Which one did Bill buy? The glass one. All the other times it was plastic. Filiberto packs our bags, unpacks our bags, does all this while we're preaching all this. Filiberto comes into me at breakfast time, and it looks like he just ran over Buddy, my dog. And I said, what's wrong? And he goes, Bill, I'm so sorry. I said, what? He says, I broke your coffee. It was sitting on top of it was right on top of my suitcase. He moved it, bang, it broke on the tile. He felt terrible. Okay, I said, it's okay. It's all right. No, Bill, I know. While I was preaching that day, he searched that town and came back with some instant coffee. There was about this much left. It had to be 5 years old. It was rock hard. He went through every house, I bet, till he found that. It gets worse. He said, Bill, please have a cup of coffee. I went, no, it's okay. No, I'm really, no, Bill, please. He has a heart to serve God. God has given him a very special gift. And he does it willingly, not begrudgingly. Each one of us, from Gina Batterman to Tony to Julie S. to Rebecca to Julie to Debbie, all of us have a gift. We serve the Lord with gladness. Verse 25. Oh no, look at the end of 24. 24, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the inheritance as your reward, you are serving the Lord Christ. Have you found your secret ingredient yet, Shay? What is it? Yes. For the wrongdoer, 25, will be paid back from the wrong he has done, and there is no partiality. I don't know about you, Mike, but does it ever enter your head, Randy Gould or Frank Adams or Al Hofstadter, that, yeah, that wasn't quite right, but he'll let me slide by with that one. No partiality, no favorites, no whatever you did yesterday might slide into tomorrow. I do it. Maybe you don't. But we need to understand in our relationships with wives, with bosses, with workers, whatever it is, you will someday answer for it. And not only that, but with no partiality, Janet. So what if Billy Richards was the most troublesome student you ever had? You shouldn't have beat him. She didn't. She wanted to, but she didn't. But we do that, don't we? We think, well, God's going to grant me a little bit extra mercy compared to everybody else. No, partiality, Ed, none. For all of us, what's the special ingredient? We're one verse away. Here we go. Verse 4. 1. Masters, treat your bondservants justly and fairly, knowing that you have a master in heaven. I say this to quite a few of your fathers, you fathers. You ever tell your children, Rebecca, every time she hangs up with one of her children, she says, I love you. Were you talking to me, Rebecca? No. How often do you tell them you love them? Men, especially with your sons. How many times do you tell them you're proud of them? You men were sons once. You know what that means? These three men here could tell you when Al gives them a compliment what it means. They'll be able to tell you when he said it and why he said it. How much does it cost you? Being critical is so easy. Encouraging shows who you are. All right, we're there. What's the secret ingredient? The front row knows. Let me go through real quick. Wives, submit to your husbands as is fitting to the Lord. Verse 20, children, obey your parents, for this pleases the Lord. Verse 22, not by eye service as people pleasers, but with sincerity of heart, fearing the Lord. Whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the inheritance as your reward. The kicker, you are serving the Lord Christ. Here it is. We started out by saying Christianity is more than a personal relationship. It's also a relationship with others. Okay? How many of you, don't raise your hands, but how many of you maybe have fallen a little bit short today on everything we've said? Have noticed maybe a do not that we've done, or maybe a do that we need to work on? What's the secret for relationships? For bosses, for wives, for children, for everyone. You ever seen this done with the cross? Which one's longer? The vertical or the horizontal? The vertical. What's the most important thing in your relationship with others? Is your relationship with, there you go, with God. If this isn't first and foremost, You're not going to want to please the boss. You're going to have the worst kids in the world, and your wife, don't even get me started on her. Because your relationship with Jesus Christ is not where it needs to be. Because when my relationship with Jesus Christ gets to where I need to be, Tammy, it's down here. And I wasn't talking to you, Patty. There is a Tammy back there. But when I am on my knees and humble before the Lord, I realize what he has done. I realize his love for me, his mercy, his grace, all of these things. And then it becomes easier to love Mabel with all her serious problems. But it's true, isn't it? If we don't love Jesus first, Mabel, everything else is a moot point, Betty. You know that too. Cheryl was here. She loves her daddy. Seriously. But I'll tell you one thing. She loves Jesus more. And that enables her to love her daddy the way she does. And for all of us others people, this is the one that counts first. This one must be set in stone. This is the one we will die for. And this will give us, thank you, Philip, and this will give us the example on how to treat everybody else. Yes, the music's too loud, the church is too cold, the whatever it is. But nothing should stand in your way of your relationship with Jesus Christ. What is a healthy church? A healthy church is a church that leans on Jesus Christ above everything else. That's where it stands. That's where it sits. It is what Jesus wants for this church. It is what Jesus demands of each and every one of us. It is that Ed's relationship with Jesus Christ is growing since he came to this church. And Bryn and everybody else. It's not about us. It's about him. Because when it is about him, everything else is easier. It's easy to welcome Mitch and Philip 8 months ago or whenever it was. Why? Because we get to share in the riches of his glory. We get to understand, Mike, what it really means to be loved by Jesus Christ. That's what it's all about. That's what matters. The simple rules become simple when your God becomes more and more magnificent in your eyes. Amen.